Man, I'd like to forget again.
Just speaking of Jeff Goldblum, I was watching the newest season of Big Mouth. They have Jeff Goldblum on an episode.
That doesn't surprise me. He's
Probably
everywhere.
That is
Yeah.
true. If you offer him money, he'll be there.
Yeah,
Tim and Eric.
Yeah, literally.
I just
that's
thought
all.
about that.
I genuinely think for for a fairly reasonable amount of money, we could get Jeff Goldblum to do like a 2-minute clip of anything.
You're watching the Effing Movie Podcast.
And he'll do like a little shimmy.
Yeah.
Well, wasn't the cameo a thing?
Yeah, cameo was a thing. I ain't gonna
if
pay
he's
for
that.
on
No, it still is.
Cameo-
Yeah, but I'm not gonna use that fucking watermark bullshit. I
No.
gotta.
You know the best cameo I've seen is you can get remember Lil Kev from Always Sunny.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's bananas, girl. You can get him
Yeah.
to
That's
do
good.
something.
that's pretty good.
That was probably one of my favorite episodes.
Yeah, D dates the Rich Harding guy.
Yeah.
It's up in the top 10 most rated ones too.
I love
Oh,
it.
definitely.
Yeah. Oh gosh.
No, he's definitely not retarded, D.
At the very end.
Ugh. Anyway, sorry. I got
You got that awesome zoomed in shot where he's like eating popcorn or something. His eyes are like going different
All the way.
ways.
Underrated actor.
Little Kev.
All right, clap sync on 3. 1, 2, 3. Thank you. Oh god.
Always. So unnecessary.
Damn it, Mason.
Yeah. You're
Just
right.
don't humor him.
Welcome to another take 2. Oh, can we? Yeah, it's worse.
Oh yeah, I'll
today.
be sure to cut it.
Yeah, I cut. All right. Can we get it? Beep. Can somebody just beep?
He's not gonna
Good job,
edit.
you did it.
Beep. Oh, okay. Welcome to another episode of the Effin' Movie Podcast.
Woo!
Woo, we're back with
Hey, what's your code?
full audio and everything. Which is, I don't know what they're doing.
What do you want?
Oh, I don't know what he's doing. Anyway, that's Bryce. We call him Bubblegum now.
Bubblegum.
Dylan, that's Mason, that's Nathan. Today, we are talking... Whose movie? Oh, this is my movie.
Yeah, it's your
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
What movie are we talking about, Dylan? Hey, Dylan.
You do this every time when we do one of your movies. Every single time.
I have to... You gotta lay up yourself on
Oh,
this
yeah.
one. Today we're
Gotta
talking
set yourself
about...
up.
Yeah, you gotta prop yourself up, man. You can't... Why are you so down? Why are you so down?
Yeah, Price.
Yeah, Price. You got this pink aura around you. You figure you'd be a little more joyful today. Welcome.
Bubblegum.
We're watching and reviewing Lego Batman. We actually already watched it. What is Lego Batman about? Thank you, stranger. Got you.
Every time.
Listen, it's Lego. It's Batman doing Batman stuff against the Joker and being incredibly meta in Batman lore and hijinks with a Lego backdrop. I mean, there really doesn't need to be much more than that.
Call it a backdrop.
Well,
I
front
mean,
drop.
it-
yeah.
That was the
it's-
front drop.
Yeah.
It is
it's
the
all
most
Lego.
Lego.
It is very Lego.
Which is fantastic because
Yeah.
like all the like genre blending stuff, like not genre, but all the different franchises.
Yes.
that
Yeah.
are pulled
All the
into
WB
this,
franchises that
Yeah.
we get
like
Raptors, we get
huge.
Voldemort, we get it is.
Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. So I'm
Yeah.
already gonna leap into trivia before we get into discussion with it by saying that Ray Fiennes, the guy who plays live action Voldemort, is the voice of Alfred, and therefore could not also be the voice of Voldemort in
How
this
could he?
movie.
I mean, he could have.
He
Yeah,
could have,
absolutely
yeah,
could've.
but then I don't know, for whatever reasons he didn't. So I just find that so funny that they literally had the guy, and he's just like, yeah, let
I think it's more of like for the parody aspect.
Right,
I
I
don't
mean-
think you want actual Voldemort
nah, but if you
playing Voldemort.
But just having him there already, plus Alfred's a bigger role, so honestly, if he's like,
Mhm.
well, this role gets $50 and the other one gets $20, well, I'm gonna get the $50 Alfred. I don't know. Let's leap into it. Likes, dislikes. I'll start
Low-key,
monopolizing.
I don't remember Voldemort in there.
He's
But
turning
there
people
was.
into fish.
he's one of the bad guys that's in the
At the
super
very
bad
beginning.
ring.
He's
Yeah.
not. Well,
So we haven't really talked about the story. Of
Sure,
this, 'cause
so
there is a story.
there
it
is a
kinda-
story.
It's really all about just the Joker trying to get Batman
Acknowledge him.
to acknowledge him as his number one enemy.
Yes.
And he goes all the way to whatever dimension.
The Phantom.
The Phantom.
The Phantom Zone. He
Yeah.
gets sent to the Phantom Zone just so that he can like pull back all these villains to really wreak havoc on Gotham and prove to Batman that he is his number one villain.
Yes. I'm gonna start monopolizing if you guys let me. I'm going to. So and I love so many things about what this movie does with the humor and telling Batman comic stories. Like the relationships are all so spot on, with Joker having this deranged love story with Batman, but that's like truthfully as canon as it gets. Like the way it's perceived is like comical, but it's done so like inside baseball that it's like if you're a Batman like ever been a reader or you just hell even just watch the movies, you know, there's like this kind of slightly erotic undertone to like some of the stuff that goes on there, that it's just like, wow, they really are just letting him be like, oh, like hate means love and this is this, and I love every bit of that. Like this movie is very rich for people on the surface level of Batman fandom all the way to like the deep sweaty nerds down here who are just seeing all the little nods and tiny references.
It nods
and things.
heavily at one point to every other Batman
The
movie.
costume,
Yes,
the
all the
costume scene.
costumes.
One of the costumes,
all
and it also is like talking about is like, you know, every like, you know, in '98 you had this phase, and like you just like going through,
Yeah.
just like cutting to different scenes.
And then you had that really
from
weird
the
one from
movie.
the 60s where it's like dancing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, we don't talk about that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go ahead and start like pulling on Dylan's ankles back to earth.
That's fine.
Because the humor for me was an extremely mixed bag. Because with kids' movies, a lot of the times they try aiming at adults as well as kids.
Yeah.
This movie, I think, is trying super hard to hit both ends of the spectrum. Whereas, like, I'll put it as an age difference kind of thing. Like, with Pixar, I would say, like, the normal Pixar movie, like, some of the jokes are aimed at, like, 8 to 9-year-olds, and, like, some of the other jokes are aimed at, like, maybe, like, 20 and ups,
Yeah.
something like that. Whereas Lego Batman is either aiming for, like, 30 and up sometimes with its humor, and the other jokes are like meant for toddlers and below, like stuff that they can't even understand. Like there's so many just like awful jokes where it's like Batman doesn't want to do nap time, or like
I
just
don't
like
think that's Batman. I
awful.
think that's just Will Arnett.
Honestly,
Like,
yeah. Like,
my qualm is it's too much Will Arnett. This is not a Batman movie. This is a Will Arnett.
see, I see Will Arnett much more as like Job from Arrested Development. I don't see him like as a typecast kind of actor. I think he can. Honestly, I really do think he can fit wherever he is meant to do, and most of the time he's typecast as this like abrasive man, whereas like, you know, Will Ferrell's like a man-child more so. And that's kind of what Will Arnett's doing in this one, but they have him playing like a very like self-aware kind of Batman, like making jokes about that most of the time. And like I said, most of the jokes are like just awful, like Batman doesn't want to do math, or just very basic, like roll your eyes kind of humor. Whereas other times it does have good jokes, like the ones you were talking about just a second ago, and there's very like jokes that can fly under the radar if you're not paying attention, which I do appreciate. It, like I said, it's a very mixed bag. Like 50% of the jokes hit for me, and 50% I was very much rolling my eyes at.
yeah, the Dick being like, he's like, oh, my name's Dick, and cool kids can be cruel.
Yeah.
Just the little tiny jabs with that, like the amount of times the little jabs landed with me. And I will concede that although this is like in theory a kids movie and it like the Lego branding and stuff like that, Lego's like really under the radar with their comedies. It like between this and just the Lego movie.
I would say this feels like a Lego comedy.
Yes.
Because like the Lego games and the Lego movies play this kind of comedy.
Yeah.
Like
Oh,
really
God.
leaning into self-aware
We are clearly-
characterizations of popular culture.
Something about so this is less so a joke because I could just point out all the jokes, but I don't really want to do that the whole time. But whenever they're using the Lego aspects, I'm always like kind of tickled because it does bring you back into like a little bit of fourth wall breaking. And they're like, flex your abs, and then it's starting to squeeze, and it just clicks.
Yeah.
Like with the whole city together. It's the tiny little stuff like that I'm always just like, alright, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
It still hits my funny bone on that one.
But those other jokes like weren't enough to bring you out of it like it was for me. Like when it says like, I'm Batman, I'm so cool, I have 9
No,
abs.
because I know what the movie
Like,
is.
he's got 8 abs and
I
then
just
a
kind
knife.
of found it. Those jokes to me were just funny, but maybe it's just because
having a 9th ab within
Yeah.
his
Yeah, I
it's,
like it.
it's silly.
Yeah.
I just feel like there's
I don't think that the jokes
my
themselves were bad, but what I was going to kind of piggyback off of Price was like, not only were the jokes like just, you know, kind of hitting there, you know, good and bad, they were coming at a pace so rapidly that like, I feel like I missed at least like 20% of the jokes, and I was watching with full intent, and not that that's a terrible thing, but my goodness, it was like rapid fire. They were just like boom, boom,
So
boom, boom,
I
boom, 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 boom.
kind of like that because visually it is just like going so
And
fast. So
visually,
many
it's the same way,
things, so
too.
so much detail in the background,
Especially all the
while
supervillains.
it's also
Yeah.
just delivering constantly at you.
Oh, so it's
with
like an
all the-
assault to the senses.
That's
Huh?
No.
I didn't want to.
Is that what that is, Nathan?
I didn't want to lay that one out.
It's clean.
Go look at our
Oh,
Pro Man
come
review.
on.
We'll tell you what it
It's
is.
Lego.
Yeah,
Oh
it's
my
Lego,
God.
man. No, so I will agree with you that I think that yes and no, where this is like kind of like a gift and a curse, right? On the first time I watched this, I saw this in theaters. Like we went on like a random Valentine's Day, and I caught this with Hannah, and I was just like, okay, yeah, these are all pretty funny. And then like on this rewatch, just because it's the second time I've watched it,
Same.
and I was just like, oh, I don't remember that one. That one's really funny, or that one. So it. In some ways, yes, it does create like that replayability of like when you're rewatching it again. It's like, oh, I
Maybe
didn't catch
so.
that the first
Yeah,
time.
That's
Yeah.
true.
To your point, though, there are some times where it's just like, oh shit, we've had like 15 jokes in a row.
Yeah,
Like,
15 in the course of like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
I'm like, I get it.
and a lot of these are landing, and the ones that don't land, I'm just kind of like, oh, that one's for the kids. That's fine. Like, and I think that's kind of where my mindset was for your point, for the jokes that were like not really making me laugh, and they were just like kind of kid lines. And I'm like, well, who the fuck am I to be in this kid, like technically kid named directed at movie, and be telling, well, my adult sense of humor doesn't find this funny, and I'm like, it's kind of like pretentious.
But as we always do our scores, it's
You're
my
right, right.
experience.
I mean,
with
it's
the
your
movie.
experience with
Yeah.
it, and that's fair, right? But I think that's why I had a little bit higher bar of like saying like, whatever, I'm gonna let it slide. Like I'm here in their movie, they're not here in my movie. If a kid went into Batman and was like,
That's a good
it's
point.
too dark, I'd be like, bro, get out of my fucking movie. It's rated PG-13. You're 9. What are you doing? So, I will say, with absolutely no shame, this movie makes me cry at least once or twice every time, and I don't know what it is. I actually do know what it is.
know either.
There's something like it is something about Joker's face and Zach Galifianakis being incredibly vulnerable.
Is it him? That's
I
the boy?
I don't know what it's both like it lures you in with the fake sense of comedy, and then you're like, oh shit, that is kind of sad. And I don't know why that hits me the way that it does, but it's a thing where I've gotten older where it's like, dude, movies just fucking they hit that tear button for me all the time now, and it's like frustrating. But yeah, I've cried at least once or twice in this Lego Batman movie, just because it hits the tone right or whatever. Even with what I do enjoy about this, aside from all the great Batman in lore reference and all the jokes and all the stuff like that, is that it's got a really wholesome story between him and Dick with it. I like that they play Batman as really the antagonist of this movie for the first 2/3 of it, only for him to kind of come around with it. But seeing that like relationship and like Dick Grayson's very just happy, cheerful, and like cute. But there are some times where I'm just like endeared by like the humor of it, and I think that also helps that it's like Michael Cera
Yeah,
behind
Michael
it.
Cera's my favorite part of this.
Yeah.
Oh, that was such a good
Dude,
cast.
there's just and he's just like, oh look, I can't really move with these pants so well, and it's like he just rips them off, and he's just moving his butt around. He's like, I can't look you anywhere but the eyes right now. Like all these little jokes like that, especially as Batman references to say like, well, how are we explaining why Robin wears a very clearly sexual leotard outfit, and we're like, oh, it's just uncomfortable with the leggings on it. I just kind of love how they just explain away like Batman humor or Batman lore with like the sense of humor with it. I cannot go on enough
Well,
about
and it
that.
being the Rasta Batman suit.
Yeah,
So that's
yeah.
why that's the R on it.
right.
Wow,
He was
that-
like, oh, it was Rasta Man down at that time. So the other last thing I kind of want to point out before I'm continuing to pass it to you guys is, does anybody else laugh as hard as I do when he fucking eats a lobster in the beginning of this movie? There's something about him microwaving a lobster first of all.
Oh, that is a cool shot.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
shot is really good.
They thought that too because it lasted for
It lasted a second,
way
but-
too long.
But I appreciated it because, like,
Yeah, it gives
Attack
you,
on the
it gives you
Senses
a,
over
like
here.
a calm
Yeah.
downbeat
It does.
after all of the chaos.
Yeah,
that
all the
was
Batmaning
yeah.
around.
Which-
right.
So good. The
Yeah.
whole beginning sequence, I love.
Yeah, that's a good
Absolutely.
See, that was an assault to me. Like, that is the definition of an assault on the senses because, one, the animation style is very, like, not fluid in my
and
opinion.
It's unique.
It's very,
Mhm.
like, choppy because they're trying to go for,
Because
like,
it's
stop-motion
kind of
Lego
stop
style,
motion
which doesn't
Lego
appeal
style.
to me.
Yeah.
You have Will Arnett singing a very terrible song
Yeah.
over this action scene.
Yeah,
There's
it's
a
funny.
lot of noise
It's
going
funny.
on, and there's just a lot going on. Like, the very start of the movie is like, you're dropped right in. Here's what you're going to get from this movie. Boom, 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 boom. Will Arnett singing, jagged animation. Like, this needs to stop.
Yeah. Nah, it didn't need to. I was
Yeah,
having fun with
to
it.
me, it's like just like over the top fan service sort of thing.
It is,
right?
absolutely,
Like it's very much just like we're hitting all the tropes, we're
Mhm.
doing all the things. Like this is Lego Batman. Like this is the exaggerated Batman
Yeah.
as a movie.
Well, and it also played on his very exaggerated attitude the entire time. I mean, this movie was about teamwork, and they pushed that down your throat when Will Arnett was on screen. Batman was on screen because it was all about him all the time until he finally realized that it takes.
Yeah, there at the
two to
end.
tango.
There at the end when Dick Grayson, he's like, "Yeah, we're the Bat family," and it's got Batman, Alfred, him, and the new
Barbara.
Barbara,
Mhm.
and she's just like, "Yeah, we are a family." It's like, you just known them for a couple
Hey,
hours.
I'm here now too.
But she
Listen.
looked up to Batman.
Yeah, she
Oh
She
my
wanted to be Batman.
I also love, again, they mentioned that she was like, I looked up to you, and she's like an adult, and then you're like, how old is Batman? And then you're realizing they're just using in canon, he's been around since
they're
like
saying that he's been around
70
for
something,
at least 60 years.
over 70 something years at that point, like 75th
Yeah, I think
anniversary,
they're saying
2013.
like 78 years
Yeah.
at
Are
one
you
point.
kidding?
Yeah.
Good Lord.
Yeah, so just like that as an in canon reference is just like how he's so old. Like, anyway. So some points that I'll say that I'm not the biggest fan of this film is that some of the pacing in the middle definitely slogs, and I'm trying to think of where exactly I remember thinking. I was just like, I think it's like right around the time. It's right, yeah. So it's right after Superman's house, and it's before all of the Phantom Zone stuff actually starts happening. Because there's that weird part like leading up to the to them going into jail and stuff like that. I just remember thinking there's a large chunk where I'm like, oh, this is slogging a little bit. I mean, not like super large, but like definitely like a 10 or 15 minute segment that was just like going on a little too long.
Well, that's also when they introduced Barbara,
Yeah.
like for real, and they also had like that Phantom Zone remote. He
Yeah,
was
and
going
there's-
with Robin or
Yeah.
Dick to go and get that.
And then they're going
It
through
was-
the jail, and you know, up until they actually just zap them, it's kind of just like that drags for a little while longer than kind of what I would like for it to be. Otherwise, I feel like the pacing in this movie is pretty good. I don't feel like that there's a lot that I'm skipping ahead a little bit, but I don't think there's a lot that I try to cut out of this one or anything like that. I feel like most of it pretty much plays. The Justice League having parties without Batman is a really funny in-game, like, or in-lore thing where it's like, oh, you just might have not got our emails.
Yeah. Yeah.
Superman in the background just gesturing that off.
Mason, what kind of thoughts do you have?
I liked, just about everything that the movie had going. It's just I've never been a huge Batman fan. You get, of course, like the Christopher Nolan movies were good, and I enjoyed those. But the whole he's been around since the '60s. They played really well on like the Superman being better than Batman because that shit's been around for years and years.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, the Justice League house party. I enjoyed all of that. You keep calling it canon, but yeah, I would say just like this breaking down the fourth wall.
Just the
and
lore behind it.
Yeah,
just being,
exactly.
Yeah.
I enjoyed all of that because without it, it would have just been another superhero movie.
Mm.
They busted that wall down. They had Bane that had emotions and feelings.
Yeah.
They had I can't even remember who else. There was a bunch of those villains that
Harley
you
Quinn,
actually
Poison
knew.
Ivy, all these.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
And then they brought all
Scarecrow.
these obscure comic book ones, Condiment Man, Kite Man, into these ones. Right?
Well, and that's where talking about busting that down. That's where I think Lego as a medium.
Yeah.
Always that's the way they do it.
They do
if
it,
you
yeah.
ever see any Lego game, it's all fourth wall breaking reference to the lore sort of stuff going on.
All the Star Wars ones are so funny
They were
about
the
that
Harry
too.
Potter.
Yeah,
That's
Potter
exactly
ones are
what I'm
good.
thinking of,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
But-
you don't know the Star Wars.
I
ones.
don't. But
The Harry
Lego
Potter
Harry
ones
Potter
were
ones
really
The Harry
coming
Potter
out
ones
for
are funny
free.
too. Yeah.
Next month.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what made this movie the most enjoyable for me because otherwise, I, to be honest, was not looking forward to this movie as much. I have seen the Lego movie, and that movie just irritated the hell out of me.
Yeah.
Because the It's Awesome song and everything. This at least had a good plot, like you said, very good character development with Dick, whatever his name is,
Grayson.
Michael Cera, and
You can just say Robin.
Alfred. Yeah,
Yeah.
even Barbara was decent. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know, but yeah,
I mean, they even had the moment where he becomes, what was it, Nighthawk or?
Yeah.
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 He put on the other suit.
Also, I think the coolest thing about this movie was I don't know what they called it, but where he could he would be like, throw bricks at me, and he was like going through
The
a
Master
catalog.
Builder thing.
Yeah, the Master Builder
Mm.
thing, where he could just create suits or equipment.
Yeah,
Like,
out
oh,
of
that's
out
just
of any
cool.
random
Just
thing.
really
Yeah.
acknowledging that it is also Lego.
Yeah.
I
Like
loved
it could have been a movie where they didn't have any building at all and it was just in a Lego world.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But yeah, the fact that they also included that I think is really good for it being kind of what it is.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, and also like Lego Masters is all about being like a master builder,
Yeah.
and I've been watching that show for the past few seasons. But
Yes.
But
Well,
you were
I've
mixed on the
watched
Lego
all.
movie and for Lego Masters. This is
Well,
gonna land
And
somewhere in the middle.
Will Arnett is the host of Lego
yes,
Masters.
and
Oh, I didn't know
for
that.
my appeal as to why Will Arnett gets on my last nerve as a host,
Mm.
he is not my favorite at all.
I can
Like,
see where he'd be an annoying
oh,
host.
yeah.
He
Yeah,
is,
yeah.
and like they play into his character from the Lego Batman. I mean, there's at least one
Yeah.
reference in basically every single episode,
Yeah.
roughly.
I like Will Arnett, but I do think one of the strengths about this movie is that Will Arnett is not facially front and center. Like him being behind the
True.
character of
That's
Batman,
true.
I
Yeah,
think
you don't
does.
see him.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think does do a lot of favors with that, and honestly, I think it does that for a lot of the voice cast. Same thing with Zach Galifianakis. Like, if it was Zach
Or
Galifianakis' show,
Yeah, Will Ferrell's
Yeah.
kind of the same way. Like,
Yeah,
you would need
yeah,
to
yeah.
see his facial and his
Mhm.
like
Like
outlandish.
in the Lego movie. you mean?
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like
Sure.
it might not work so well if he wasn't,
having
Like
that visual disconnect does make a big difference, I think, with it. Kind of one last final joke I just want to point out because I just remembered it again was the Godzilla one or whatever where he.
You mean Swamp Monster?
Yeah, it's the Swamp Monster one where he's sitting there and he fires the fireball and it blows up
and
the.
it blows up the eye.
Yeah,
And
blows
then he
up
starts
Sauron.
swinging away.
Yeah.
He's like, oh.
I wasn't gonna mention that one because I thought it was really dumb, but
No.
it did make me laugh.
That one made me laugh more than I cared to admit whenever I watched it.
And he says, "Whoops!" right
Whoops.
before he goes under. Like,
Yeah,
as he's
like,
going under.
Nothing's here. He just slopes under and gets
Like,
pierced.
nobody sold that.
Yeah. Yeah, the movie's just ripe with those ones. But we want to transition into the next part.
Give us some trivia.
The other trivia, besides Ray Fiennes not being able, or actually not playing Voldemort despite the fact that it was Voldemort won that, was that Rosario Dawson, who plays Barbara Gordon, including this role, means that she has had the most credits for playing comic book characters out of any actor.
I believe it.
Yeah, because she's
She's in
a
a
character in Claire and Daredevil. She's this in Batman. This one, she's got. I think it was like 21 credits in comic
she
book
was
characters.
in Daredevil. Yeah, she's
Yeah,
like the
she's the
girl
nurse.
who stitches him up.
Night Nurse, yeah. But yeah, so she's got the same amount of credits, and that was just like this was I think like the 19th, 21st one or something like that.
Good for her.
Yeah, but she's killing it. Good for her. She's a good job, voice actress, and she's got a good job on screen. So. That's the other trivia for her. You think I didn't have one? You thought I was a one-trick
I thought
pony?
you were shooting blanks, buddy.
Nope. Fat, thin, perfectly fit. It's the shape of the movie, and Price is going to go ahead and leave first. Go ahead, Bubblegum.
It's fit. I didn't notice the length or anything about this movie, honestly. I mean, I can kind of see where Dylan's coming from with the middle section, but I don't know. I didn't feel it. It was fit for me.
Yeah, other than the jail segment and stuff like that going for too long, this movie still stays pretty fit for me. I think even if I trim it, I only maybe overall it's like maybe a minute or two, and I can't slam a movie for being chubby for that.
Yeah, I'll second that. I think that like that middle segment wasn't terrible, but like this movie had like a huge action sequence, big fight scene at the beginning, and an even larger one at the very end. And everything kind of in the middle was like, yeah, here's some fun. Here's the Batcave. Here's Alfred. Here's some more of Barbara and Meat and Dick and all that stuff, which was fine, but that kind of needed
Meat
it.
and Dick.
Meat and Dick.
Hey, square.
Yep. Yeah, so pretty darn fit.
Yeah, it's definitely fit. Like there's no point in this movie that I felt like it was wasting my time. I enjoyed it the whole way through.
Nod.
Do you have a question? Because I had one.
Actually, I don't have a question. So yeah, I'll let you take the lead on that one. I gotta
Okay,
get scores.
so the biggest thing I've gotten out of this is I cannot believe this movie made Dylan tear up. So I would love to hear what is the last movie that you can remember that you at least like teared up a little bit, eyes got red, like just anything. Did we just go like around? This son of a bitch I probably hasn't ever. So remember we talked about Dear Zachary, we were all like, yeah, that was a lot.
Yeah.
But it's like I felt nothing.
I mean, there's just certain like like certain points, I guess, in movies. Like, I mean, this movie sucked overall. 2012. It was a chaos, crazy movie, right? No, hear me out.
I'm waiting.
There, like, the movie really did suck. Like, it was
Yeah,
like
it's
this
a bad
really
movie.
like anticipated movie by all, just because the Mayans said this, years and years and years ago. But as a whole movie, it was terrible. But there was one part where, like, I can't remember, like, the main character, which I don't know who it was. His dad was like on a boat across the world, and of course this is when the tidal waves, the freaking tsunami waves, were hitting wherever the hell he was, and like he had like a last phone call, and it was like one of these things where like you knew he was toast, and everyone knew he was toast, even the son knew he was toast, and so he was just like he was talking to him, and I don't know, like that part where I was just like, Jesus Christ, like. I wasn't ready for it because I think at that point the movie had been so bad. It was just like, why do I care?
Yeah.
This relationship.
You're
is
just
like
looking for
blossoming.
something.
It's like looking in the desert and finding like the prettiest like sunflower ever amongst all of the sand. Anyways,
What are you doing here?
Yeah,
This
it's
is
a
amazing.
snip.
Yeah.
Go to fall over.
Nathan?
I mean, I think what is that one called? Like looking
Raw.
for a friend for the,
For
end of the world or something.
yeah.
Steve Carell or something.
Yeah, that one was pretty good.
Some of those are pretty good, like the ones that are supposed to be.
Eternal Sunshine probably could get me a little bit, maybe too, here or there at moments.
That one didn't actually.
Well, I mean, if we're not counting Dear Zachary, since it's a documentary, the only one I can really remember, like, fairly recently was, I forgot, what's the anime Brand New Story? Kimi ga, whatever that one was.
Oh gosh, Ride Your Wave.
Ride Your Wave.
Oh,
I can't believe
yeah.
I forgot. Yeah, that one did.
That's a forgettable movie.
Not
That's
the
fair.
one, not the like the part you would think, but like the very
You
end
mean
of the movie.
the very end, the tidal wave scene?
Yeah,
right?
that's not a way to see.
That one almost got me too, Bryce.
Yeah.
Not the part you would think. The
Yeah.
worst part.
Cowabunga, dude.
No, when it-
yeah.
when it
Forgot
does
about
when
that.
it does the like New Year's like the toll or whatever, it's
Yeah.
like he's like I'm telling you like something like that one did. Then his was Lego Batman.
You know what one actually still gets me on rewatches is V for Vendetta. There is
Shut the front door.
I swears he's dog.
Swears he's bro.
Dude, oh my god, OM Jaw or
OM
OM Goss,
Jaw.
yeah. It always hits right around the time wherever Evie is catching up with V after he just did the whole like sweet murder scene with everybody at the end, and that little part always just hits a certain way with me. But yeah, I mean this would be my last movie, so that's my answer, obviously. Everything Everywhere All at Once made me cry like a baby too.
That's a good point.
Yeah,
That's a good one.
That one
I
hit.
don't know if that one did give me that second rewatch.
Oh yeah.
First time it did though.
The
for
first
me.
one ruined me.
The first watch I did.
The second
yeah.
one ruined Hannah's shirt. I don't know. I kept using it.
Snipple.
Yeah. Without further ado, let's get into the scores though. So I will go last. So we're gonna go there this way.
Cool.
Bubblegum, start us up again.
Bubblegum.
Bubblegum go first.
Choo choo.
I will probably be the lowest. As they said about Promare, this was an assault on the senses for me. I'm okay with like the assault in a sense if it's smooth. And the thing about Lego is like it's not. Like it's meant to be like kind of jagged in its animation style because it's all about like they're actually blocks moving like and it's like really jagged lines all the time, whereas in anime like there's fluid lines going everywhere. There may be a lot of color and everything, but at least like the lines are smooth, which is important to me. And this one had just like a whole lot. Like I said, the jokes were a mixed bag for me, 50-50 hit, and the ones that didn't hit really got on my nerves. Like the 50 that didn't hit got on my nerves more than the ones that did hit because like a missed joke I think is more impactful to me than a joke that hit. Because like when it's talking about like his ninth ab, that's the one I can think of. Like that's just cringy, like I don't care kind of humor. And again, to Dylan's point, like this movie was made for kids. This is my personal viewing watch of this movie, and I didn't enjoy it. Tim and Eric has better humor, in my opinion.
Shut the fuck up.
Talking about missing the whole movie.
But the movie still was fine, but I still didn't enjoy it, like, as a whole, I would say. But didn't really detest my time with it because it wasn't too long, which is, again, like the biggest hallmark of really going downhill for me. So I'd say this is probably about a 4.5 for me. Just a little below average.
Wow. So me next?
Yep.
Yup.
What?
Yeah. Like as I was watching it, like towards the end, I was like, don't watch this.
Oh,
again.
Yeah, yes.
God.
Holy hell.
I enjoyed this movie immensely.
Yes.
You
Wow.
know, if we
Was this your
talk
first
about
watch?
the what?
Was this your first time you watched it?
No, second time.
Okay, second time. Okay.
So that's why also I was like much more comfortable with being
yeah.
like, yeah, I would give this a 10.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I guess this really delineates our senses of humor.
Mm. There's
Because
this weird
it's like we just back to back have done
comedies.
2 comedies.
yeah.
Maybe more
One
than
that
Oh, yeah.
I gave even lower than you gave this one, and then like that was your 10. This one's mine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This kind of humor, it had me laughing constantly, and it's not even that I was giving it my full attention.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's
You made dinner twice.
it's funny. I like just tons of pop culture references being like just shoved into something like that. Like I'm such a huge fan of crossover stuff too.
Yeah. Like
While
Space
watching
Jam,
this
yeah.
movie, I got out my Lego Dimensions game just to play around with that.
Yeah.
Because that is a game that's all about just like 15, 20, like Knight Rider and the A-Team and Portal and just all kinds of random like franchises all mashed into one place. I love it anytime I see it. So this was perfect.
Dang.
Like it, yeah.
This is a second 10, by the way.
Yeah, well, and like I said, towards the end of it, I was sitting there thinking, like, do I want to watch this again right now?
Dang.
Like,
You're like, I could.
I kind of want to because it
Wow.
was like I kind of want to make sure that I would call it a 10, but then I thought I was like, well, I've seen it twice now, and I still feel pretty good about that. So yeah, there it is.
Not too bad.
All right.
I do agree with Nathan. I think that it's the
You know what's
genres,
right.
the franchises and all the properties all being mixed together, much like Space Jam tried to do.
Yeah, like the Space Jam one. Yeah, it didn't do it as well.
No,
but-
not nearly as
yeah.
well. But it is fun to see that kind of stuff over and over again. But I'm also with Price, where like talking about the animation style of this, it's supposed to be gradient, it's supposed to be kind of like harsher, which is fine, and I'm glad that it stuck to it the whole time. It's very unique, but it's not quite my tempo.
I don't get it.
Well. Anyway.
What's he referencing?
I do like the jokes. They were just a little bit too quick. But overall, it's still a fantastic movie. I love the plot, and I do really like the characters. The Joker, I didn't know it was Zach Galifianakis. That's fantastic.
He blends in on that role too.
He
Oh,
does.
yeah.
Well, I would have
It's a
thought he
great
was a
fit.
no-name. Or no-name.
Yeah, like just
But,
random voice actor.
Yeah, I didn't even expect that. But
The cast is real deep on this one. Like
Yeah.
Channing Tatum was Superman
Yeah.
I didn't know
for like
that.
4 or 5
Or-
lines.
yeah,
Yeah.
like not even that many.
It's crazy who they pulled in for this movie.
Lego has money, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Well, look how expensive their sets are.
that's true.
Well, they went up 20%.
Yeah. Every time.
Across the board?
Yeah,
Yeah.
They had a 20% price increase. Like,
Well,
just a couple
people are going to
months
buy
ago.
it.
Oh yeah.
Like,
And people
And
are
they know
still
they
buying them up.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, every time I go to Opry Mills, there's a Lego store. There's people in there all the time. It's
Yeah.
like an Apple store, like how clean it is in there.
Yeah.
It's like beautiful yellow, and you normally don't say that about yellow.
And it's
True.
so
Yeah.
expensive. But sorry, Mason, you
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I'm still gonna give this movie a 7. It's good, and me and Dylan, which he's going to probably blast that button in a moment. Me and him have the same style of like animation. It starts at a 7. Does it go better or worse?
Mm-hmm.
I do think that it peaked a little bit more at an 8, but then it also got drugged down a little bit more. It just wasn't my style. And plus, superhero movies are not my favorite. This one did it really well, but still, with all of it considered, I still, middle of the road as far as animation, I think. But yeah, just 7 for me.
What animated movie have you liked a lot? Like, what would you think would be your favorite?
Fantastic.
Fantastic Mr. Fox.
Yeah, I guess it's
Yeah.
not a fair one, but
But
yeah,
like that one is
true.
so
Yeah.
unique. This one is also
Yeah.
unique. I will say that till the end of the day. But
Yeah.
like it's
Yeah.
just strange, and it's very, I don't know. It's too
It was such
too
an
fast.
unexpected movie to have been made, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I almost wish I hadn't seen the Lego movie beforehand, because I fully expected another just repeat of just like, oh my god, this is so annoying and obnoxious. I will say this movie's better than Tim and Eric though.
Oh, by far.
That's not a fair.
Yeah.
If,
No, it's
yeah,
not.
If Price went on social media, well, not currently in this day and age, but if he went on social media like a year ago for Twitter and said Tim and Eric's humor is better than Lego Batman, it would have been flagged for disinformation.
Yeah, you would have gotten sued and buried.
Yeah. Tim and Eric would have bailed him out with $1 billion.
True.
I have
so-
never fought against you on Tim and Eric. I'm like, I love this movie. Let's see what happens.
Press-
I have never argued
I know,
with you on
that's
that.
right. You've been very much like, I know what it is. I know who it is for.
He just bends over.
Yeah.
So I love Batman. In many ways, shapes, and forms.
You got a tattoo.
This was one of the
Yeah.
variant covers of the 75th
Is that the Lego
anniversary.
Batman?
Yeah, it is.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
A little blocky.
Yeah.
Hey, can you see Will Arnett's?
Yeah.
silhouette?
Here is my like unironic opinion about this movie as a Batman movie, exclusively not a comedy, not just as a Batman movie. I unironically believe this is the best Batman movie,
Yeah.
and
What?
I swear up and
Dark
down.
Knight.
Yeah, Dark
Dude,
Knight.
Dark Knight, Pattinson, love them. They're fantastic as cinema achievements and fun performances. Dark Knight, to be fair, is a Joker movie more than anything.
Well,
So?
so is this.
And it's irrelevant in this, yes.
If
but
it's a Joker movie, it's
it-
therefore a Batman movie. Besides the actual Joker movie with no Batman.
semantics aside, right? So
Yeah,
all of that comes down to saying that I don't think that any Batman movie delivers as much like playful tongue in cheek while also still being very knowledgeable about like the Batman lore in this. Like it's insane. Like the amount of times I'll go through it and I'm like, those are incredibly deep cuts that they're sitting here and taking
They really could have dropped the ball on this.
Yeah, like this is a honestly the amount of like Batmanism lore that they are slowly but secretly injecting into it and sometimes not injecting into it, I think is like wild. Just the fact that we're talking about a movie that was like we had Condiment Man, we had Kite Man, we did this, and it was just like and it plays like and it's fun and it works and all of that one. And having watched the the Lego movie before this, I was like, I was like, it's better than I expected. But I'm like, Will Ferrell kind of puts me down on it. So, like, I had a lower bar coming into this. Like, this was one of those ones, like, I guess I'll watch it. I like Batman, so sure. And I dragged Hannah into it. And I was floored by how impressed I was with this. I laughed so much the first time I watched it. I cried whenever I watched it. All these little family notes and the little Dick Grayson plays and all of it is just so blended together so wonderfully. So I as a Batman fan, go to bat every time with it. Anytime like, what's the best Batman film? Well, the Pattinson one's super good, but I don't know if it's gonna time. Well, Dark Knight's always a timeless. And literally, like,
Dude's like Lego Batman.
I'm the dude in the back where I'm like, no, wrong. Lego Batman, and if you haven't watched it, you don't get an opinion on this. Like, and the people who have watched it almost always put it at least in top 3.
Okay.
Like, it's like this weird impeccable thing with it. So that being said, I enjoy almost everything in this movie. There's only a little tiny lull in the middle part with it. There are kid jokes that don't land for me, but that's fine. That's for the kids. It's not for me, and I'm okay with just saying like, we'll let that float for like the 8-year-olds. Because honestly, you need to fish the new generation in, and I get it. But altogether, I have so much fun with this movie, and it is wonderful. And I give it a 9. It goes above. This is the second movie that's hit a 8.5 for me, which is a brick wall on my scores. Unless you gotta do something special or unique, or really like surprise me in a certain way with it to get around this. So between Everything Everywhere and this season's shaping up. But yeah, I sincerely enjoy this movie as that one. It's not a perfect movie. And like the geek in me as a Batman fan wants to just slam the button too with Nathan on that one. The fact that he's beating me on that surprises me more than anything.
Yeah, I don't think any of us expected.
Yeah.
No,
Batman
yeah.
Press
So yeah.
at all. But
Right.
I was
definitely
kind of
not.
feeling it though because everything that we said, the only time Nathan really rebuffs us,
Yeah.
like it's like, well,
Well, there's this positive fact.
I'm like,
and I was
okay,
like,
this is a big movie for him.
Yeah,
if
this
he's
is-
doing that.
This is
Getting
more than a
beat
show.
here.
Yeah. It's so fucking fun. But anyway, let's see what like the world thought, because this is a skewed amount of we have anywhere from in the middle, a little under, way aboves on this one. IMDb as a whole gave us a 7.3.
Trash.
So we don't trust IMDb. And audience score was an 80% with a tomato meter overall of a 90%.
Which is the same as IMDb on the audience score.
Right,
7.7
right.
or whatever it was.
7.3. So
Oh,
that's
7.3 is the same as it.
yeah.
Let's say IMDb means
I
that.
don't know how they're splitting hairs on that one, but this was a really liked movie from people who watched it.
Mhm.
Very fit on time, various stuff like that, so that makes
I can
sense.
see why.
Yeah. No, this movie's delightful.
I think the 10 boy gets to spin.
Yeah.
Give me
Well,
that.
we
yeah.
gotta flip it a certain way. Though.
I think it's-
Oh no, wait, yeah, as long as
I
it's on
think
the
it-
right. As long as it's on the
I
right.
didn't get to spin after my 10.
Well, because
That's because you picked Tim and
you're
Eric.
always on the left and it unhinges it when you spin from the left.
Sure.
That's how this works.
Yeah, Neo brother.
A lot of energy in that one.
Oh
The Martian.
What?
There's like one The Martian on there.
Was it yours or mine?
No,
Hey!
they were right beside each other.
Yeah,
Oh,
we
there's
doubled
okay.
down.
There's
Oh, there's
double.
two?
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's still surprising.
Okay. What you know what? Actually, this makes our third comedy in a row that we've watched.
Hey, listen, this movie's funny.
I've never seen it.
For people who don't
Really?
know,
You're in for
oh
a treat.
man, this is yeah, it's
I've heard varying things on this.
that's fair.
That's because you always get on Reddit and you trust every single thing that you read on Reddit.
That's a weird time to bring
He's
out
like,
that attack,
an
but
accurate-
I don't see it.
He's like, that's a weird truth. But no, but yeah, for those who don't know, The Martian was nominated for best comedy as like an Emmy or something like that. I don't remember what award show it was.
Emmys
What-
TV.
I know, right. Well, it was something weird. It wasn't Oscars, but it was another
It was
like
one
There
of
is
the-
another
Gold
like below
Globes
the
or something
Oscar.
like that. Like, I
can't
forget
remember.
what it was. But anyway, The Martian, which is, as most of us will see, it is pretty much just a drama with
Yeah.
like occasional joke or two for levity. Got nominated for best comedy and won that year. So we can't wait to watch this third award-winning comedy, The Martian. Make sure to tune in next week on this channel. If you want to know when that video drops, make sure to hit the bell. And make sure to give us comments below. What do you think? Is this a #1 Batman film of all time? Or is it a mid to like little under average animated film? I thought this was gonna be the one we were gonna, this had the perfect merger for both of us here. And you didn't want to
I just
touch
don't like
fingers.
this style. Like stop motion or stop motion esque is really hard for me to get into.
You look fantastic, Mr. Fox. Though.
But that
But-
Fantastic
but you
Mr. Fox
like-
is so much more than the animation.
Yeah.
But you do like puppeteering stuff,
Yeah.
though.
Like Little Shop,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't really know what else. Like Muppets never really does anything for me.
Well, we'll get it on Treasure Island. Anyway, guys, make sure to tune in next
This is
week.
different. Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
But like Muppet puppeteering is like I've never seen them do much. Like puppeteering is always like bounces. Like that's all.